Something I have a hard time hearing is when Russ tells me I have a tone. I usually reply back, I don't have a tone. I imagine you found yourself not hearing your tone when talking to your spouse or kids. I simply was just telling my spouse to pick up his clothes. What do you mean I have a tone? Today we'll be discussing tone and 3 other mistakes we make when we're communicating with our spouse.
You talking to me? You talking to me?
Hi, my name is Danielle West, and my husband and I help couples repair marital strife to get more out of life. Thanks in advance for subscribing and ring the bell to be notified so you don't miss when we post our weekly videos. I'm sure you already know that 7% of our communication comes from the spoken word, while 38% comes from the tone of our voice. The first mistake, tone. Words that may seem neutral can become provoking if spoken with a sarcastic, demeaning, or contemptuous tone of voice. It causes the listener to feel hurt and disrespected. When you communicate with contempt, the results can be cruel. Treating others with disrespect and mocking them with sarcasm and condescension are forms of contempt. So are hostile humor, name-calling, mimicking, and body language such as eye-rolling and sneering.
He's a pedantic, pontificating, pretentious bastard, a belligerent old fart, a worthless, steaming pile of cow dung. Figuratively speaking.
In whatever form, contempt is poisonous to a relationship because it conveys disgust and superiority, especially moral or ethical.
Do you know what the word contempt means?
It's to think of others as being beneath you, to be unworthy of being in the same room with you.
Contempt, simply put, says, I'm better than you, and you are lesser than me. According to a 2015 study that examined hundreds of conversations from over 100 couples during marriage therapy sessions, the ability to watch your tone may be a key indicator of your relationship's success. Researchers found that the tone of voice in communication confirmed what many of us already intuitively know. Communication is not just about what you say, but how you say it. And the data? Well, it showed that studying the couple's voices rather than their behaviors better predicted the eventual improvement or deterioration of the relationship. This plays into our next example. Number 2, barking orders. Have we truly thought through how it would look if our spouse responded to us barking orders at them? For example, Russ, you never clean up the kitchen. And he responds, you know what? You're right. Let me get to that right now. And if your spouse reacts this way, we need to study them. Barking orders may happen because you're tired and frustrated, tired of asking them over and over. But have you noticed it rarely generates the behavior you're hoping for? So what's the alternative? Perhaps you can try affirming them. I'm not saying make something up, but compliment them on what's going well and then share an expressed need. Russ, you've been wonderful at how well you take care of the yard. I've been overwhelmed with the kids. Would you mind giving them a bath while I clean up the kitchen? Yes, this takes forethought, but isn't it worth the energy to ask for what you need versus barking an order and not getting what you need? Number 3, sometimes when we mentor couples, they are confused why their spouse gets so easily frustrated with them. They feel nitpicked on, ganged up on, almost like you've become the parent in the relationship instead of being their spouse. And this can easily happen when you ask anxious-based questions. This can stem from your family of origin when you experience the inconsistent availability of love and care from your caregivers. And you find it hard to believe that your partner actually loves you. You may spend hours freaking out when they don't pick up their phone. Every spoken word of love is scrutinized and questioned and taken with a grain of salt. Because of deep-seated insecurity from their past, preoccupied people in a relationship can behave in ways that seem desperate, insecure, demanding, possessive, jealous, or controlling towards their partner.
Does he have reason to be jealous?
He was jealous even before we were married.
And they often misinterpret their partner's actions as being rejecting or insensitive, often thinking things like, well, he really doesn't love me. And if he really loved me, he would have ... Or she's going to leave me. Or how can he treat me that way? Doesn't he see how much I do for him? I was right not to trust her. When people with an anxious attachment style are in relationships, they require greater intimacy and bonding with their partners to function. Comment below, does this feel like it resonates with you? And would you like access to a solution? Well, email me below. My email address is in the description. And number 4, we do not function very well when we are emotionally flooded. If you've been watching our videos, you've heard this before, but do you act upon it? If you're a tiger when you fight, you want to verbally spar with your spouse. You are most likely flooded and need a timeout. And if you're a turtle, you just want to flee and hunker in your turtle shell. You also need a hot minute to calm down and come back to the conversation. If you're unsure if you're flooding or not, take a pulse oximeter and put it on. If that sucker goes above 100, you're emotionally flooded. You need to stop talking. Nothing productive happens when your brain is offline. Yes, your brain is offline, operating out of the amygdala, that portion that only knows how to fight, flee, or freeze. If you wait at least 20 minutes, the stress hormones that get released when you're flooded will be reabsorbed back into your system. And guess what? Your brain comes back online. It moves from the amygdala back up to the prefrontal cortex where love and logic sit. So if you want to improve your communication skills, be aware of your tone. Don't bark orders. Listen if you're asking your partner anxious-based questions, and use a pulse oximeter. Are you ready to take your communication skills to the next level? Well, send me an email to Danielle@intentionalmarriages.net, and I will send you some resources to help you have an extraordinary marriage your kids will be proud to emulate. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.